In this video I'm going to show you how I made a stitch in a cartoon cake for my daughter's 25th birthday. I baked a 6-inch round cake and I'm just going to cut through so that I can add a layer of buttercream and a layer of jam. I've made this buttercream with stalk margarine, icing sugar and some vanilla essence. And this is raspberry seedless jam. I'm adding a generous layer of buttercream to the whole of the cake. Then I'll just tidy it up, ready for icing. This is roughly 700 grams of sugar paste, which I've coloured using PME's Old Gold gel colour. And then I'm just going to smooth it onto the cake, being careful not to have any pleats or folds in the icing. So now I'm smoothing the icing all the way over the cake using the smoothing tool and just pressing it down onto the board so that as I trim now I should get a nice finish at the base of the cake with no gaps. I always trim my icing with a mini palette knife, but you could use a regular knife or you could use a pizza cutter. I decided to decorate this bottom tier in the cartoon cake style, simply because I've not done it before and I quite fancied having a go. So I'm using the Dresden tool to create the layers between the cakes. So I'm brushing some water along these grooves just to make the icing a little bit tacky. So I'm now rolling out some white sugar paste. So just rolling like a long sausage, making sure that it's not perfectly neat. It needs to represent a layer of cream that's bulging out the side of the cake. I've coloured some icing with a little bit of Christmas red to get this nice pink colour, and then just using a 6-inch cake board and cutting out this curvy pattern with a craft knife that will, once it's in place, will represent the effect of dripping icing. And now I'm just softening all those edges. I've brushed the top of the cake with a little bit of water just to hold the sugar paste in place, and now I'll just arrange it around the top of the cake. To finish off this cartoon effect, I've rolled out some thin strands of black icing and I'm just placing them all around the edges of each section. So I baked another 6-inch cake for the stitch. However, I realised quite quickly that this was far too big. It would have made more sense to start with a 5-inch cake, possibly even a 4-inch round cake. So I'm trimming a lot of this away to get myself a nice ball shape. So I'm just cutting through now so I can add a layer of buttercream and jam to this one also. I have a split in this cake, so I'm just going to use some buttercream to fix it together. Now that it's covered in buttercream, I can see that it's a little bit too much of a ball shape, so I'm just going to cut a section from the bottom to correct the shape. I've coloured this sugar paste with PME's gel colour Ocean Blue. And I'm using more sugar paste than I actually need, as this will help to reduce the amount of folds and pleats, because this isn't the easiest shape to cover. I'm now trimming the edges and just tucking the sugar paste under the shape. I'm using a paler shade of the blue for the bottom of his face. So this is the section under his mouth, and I've just cut a strip and placing it against the cake and then just neatly tucking the paste under. For his nose, I've added even more of the blue and a touch of black to get this deeper shade. And then just shaping it into a triangle shape and then using the Dresden tool to shape in the nostrils. I've cut 2 circles for the eyes and I'm just shaping out each one so it's more of a teardrop shape, and then just placing them on using a little bit of water to keep them in place. I've cut his pupils with a piping nozzle, and again just teasing the shape into a teardrop and then just placing those towards the bottom of the eyes. Now to finish off the eyes, I'm just adding 2 tiny balls of white paste. Rolling 3 small balls of the blue paste into carrot shapes, I'm just forming a little tuft of hair for the top of his head. So the whole idea of this design was to make Stitch look like he's popping out of the centre of the cake. Problem is, the cake's not really big enough, so next time I would make a larger or at least a taller cake. So for his arms, I've just modelled some paste, cut his fingers and just shaping each one, and they will just sit at the side of his head. So I'm just making space for his claws and just shaping the mouth a little bit deeper. And now I'm just popping in his claws, which I've made by rolling some tiny pieces of black paste into cone shapes. I've taken some of the pink icing and I've just rolled them into like carrot shapes, and I'm just going to place those onto the cake so it looks like there's drips of icing splashing in front of his body. So I'm using the darker blue for the outside of the ears. I've added CMC powder to this to give more strength to the paste, and hopefully as it dries it'll be nice and strong enough. Now for the inside colour, I've used Christmas red to form a pink, and then I've added some blue to get this nice darker pink colour. So I'm going to attach the darker pink to the blue, and I'm just using a lolly stick between the two sections of paste, and this is going to help support them when I place them into the cake. So I'm just cutting the shape now. And then I'll fold them and cut a little section out of each one. As Stitch looks like he has these two little pieces missing. Now I left these two set and harden for a whole 24 hours. Make sure they were firm enough to hold the shape when they were inserted into the cake. I'm happy to say that my Stitch Crazy daughter absolutely loved her birthday cake. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to subscribe to my channel and to like this video. And if you have any suggestions for further tutorials, please let me know by leaving a comment below.